We live in a world that glorifies instant gratification. Everyone wants quick success, easy relationships, and endless happiness. But astrology reminds us that life doesn't quite work that way, which is where Saturn comes in. Saturn is the planet of karma, limitations, and hardship, and the ruler of time, age, and death. But what if I told you that Saturn isn't just all bad news, that it's actually the key to wisdom, true mastery, and real lasting success? Let's talk about why Saturn's the most misunderstood planet in astrology and how it can actually change your life for the better. Let's get into it. Saturn's always been considered a difficult planet. It's labelled the Greater Malefic and it's associated with hardship, boundaries, restrictions, and discipline. It's the slowest of the visible planets, taking nearly 30 years to make a full cycle of the zodiac, and it finds its joy in the 12th house, a place connected with isolation, suffering, and hidden struggles. Its domiciles are Capricorn and Aquarius, two signs that are known for their focus on discipline, order, and structure. In contrast, Saturn is known to struggle in the signs Leo and Cancer, which is the domiciles of the luminaries, the sun and the moon, which are all about warmth, creativity, and emotional expression. It's no coincidence that Saturn is the last visible planet to the naked eye, marking the boundary between the known and the unknown. For centuries, it was the final limit, the planet of endings, time, and mortality. But here's where Saturn's misunderstood. Saturn forces us to see reality as it is and not how we want it to be. And that is an essential part of growth. Think about why Saturn is exalted in the sign of Libra, the sign of balance, justice, and fairness. Saturn works best when there's accountability and structure, so Libra's ability to weigh decisions carefully and think long term aligns perfectly with Saturn's energy. Now compare that with Aries, which is Saturn's fall. Aries is impulsive, driven by its raw instincts. This is the opposite of what Saturn represents. Saturn isn't here for the quick wins, it's all about longevity and endurance. And this is ultimately why people fear Saturn transits. It forces change, and it does so by removing what's weak, unsustainable, and lacking real structure. It doesn't really care if you like it. It only cares if what you're building can stand the test of time. In Buddhist philosophy, there's something called the First Noble Truth, which states, birth is suffering, aging is suffering, sickness is suffering, and death is suffering. Whilst that might sound bleak, it's an undeniable truth. No one can escape suffering, but the real question is, what would a life without suffering even look like? Without limitations, struggles, and discipline, what would life even be? Would we strive to achieve anything of real value? Would we even be able to appreciate true happiness without the contrast of pain? There's a pattern in history that after war, after destruction and collective suffering, there's always a period of growth, innovation, and rebuilding. Suffering forces us to evolve, and we see this in our own lives too. Some of the wisest, most profound people have suffered deeply. Not that suffering itself makes you wise, but what you choose to do with it. Saturn teaches us that nothing is permanent, that we must work within the limits of time. The people that truly master life are the ones that learn to work with Saturn rather than fight against it. So what happens when Saturn moves through your birth chart? Saturn transits are slow but undeniable. They bring major restructuring, reality checks, and necessary endings. Here are some things that you can expect during a major Saturn transit. A hard reset in that particular area of life. If something isn't built to last, Saturn will dismantle it. A period where shortcuts just stop working. Saturn does not care about quick fixes. It's all about supporting real, lasting effort. The feeling that time is slowing down, progress taking longer, and there'll be inevitable delays. But the results are stronger and more long-lasting. Lessons around boundaries, where you've been too lenient, too naive, or too dependent on external validation. Facing your fears and insecurities. Saturn will bring the need for deep self-reflection. Whether you like this or not, we all need to face the hard truths that we tend to avoid. Reaping what you've sown. Saturn rewards hard work and punishes avoidance and resistance. If you've been doing the inner work, then this is where you'd start to see real stability and mastery coming to light. All in all, this is why resisting Saturn can only make things worse. If you fight against the lessons and refuse to let go of what's not serving you, Saturn will make the process even harder. But if you surrender to it and work with Saturn rather than against it, you'll come out stronger and wiser and with something real to show for it. So why do people misunderstand Saturn? Because it represents everything that modern society wants to avoid. Struggle, pain, hard work, delayed gratification, and consequences. But Saturn isn't some cosmic villain. Its role is to strip away illusions and force us to see what's actually real. The irony is that people who tend to fear Saturn the most are the ones who need Saturn's lessons the most. The ones who don't want to face responsibility, resist discipline. These are the people that Saturn hits hardest. But if you embrace Saturn's lessons, if you accept that real success, wisdom, and stability take time, then Saturn becomes your greatest teacher. It stops being the planet of suffering, and it becomes the planet of true mastery. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any future content. I'd love to hear your thoughts, how Saturn has shown up in your life. Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.